Welcome again right back to Sports Talk 101. Today's video could movies today. Today we are looking at the Big 10 Media Day, Big 12 Media Days. Every year there is Media Days. Make it smaller. Okay. Every year they have the Big 12, SEC, the Big 10, and the ACC. Everyone has their Media Days. Usually the month of July. You have to hear from the commissioner, the head coach, and some selected players. So today we'll look at the Big 12. We are going to look at every single team. We'll break down some stars I have on the thing. I will make my way to it whenever they come up, but we'll take a look. And today, first up, is the commissioner in Brett Yormark. He's been the commissioner for some time. So get started. So a few things I usually look at these. I look at what things we need to know from the commissioner. So it is an introduction, which I'm not gonna go. Some new classes got Colin Klein of Kansas State, Eric Morris at Oklahoma State, of course Jimmy Rogers at Iowa State, and Morgan Scaly, the new coach over Utah. And then talk about the Brandon Sorby Association, which I'm going to make a video, maybe something there. I don't know, I haven't decided, but I know Uncle Lou has made a video on that. Go check that out. On ESPN, a lot of people have made, other YouTubers like Uncle Lou, other people on YouTube have made videos about it. So I just want to put that in perspective. So less of it. Look, I get that he didn't want to address it because of the situation, so which makes sense. We'll see what the future is. Of course, talk about expansion of college football game, how it is. Best standpoint, yes. Member situation, yes. Talk about that. He put his career out of conference rivaling. He said, I think a person, clearly, which I agree. We miss the old, Bethlehem rivalry. Who remembers that? The Oklahoma State and Oklahoma. Oklahoma at least goes to SEC, then that boom goes away. So, talk about that. Talk about the playoffs. Commission talk about very safe playoff of the member institution. Talk about that. How he different formats, how he spent it. And then one of the things I think for me is 2024. Which I think, great. So the great questions he had. Blah blah blah. Yeah, so that's the Big Ten commissioner. Big 12 commissioner. Big takeaway from him, and what I thought was him when he spoke was talking about how college preparation, just a few things, and just use the commission introduction stuff to what it is. All right, so we're gonna look at. We'll go in order of days. So 7th July, 4th, 7th, and of course end with Rich Rodriguez. So you'll bring in Eric. Okay, cool. So you can watch me. I'm not gonna play it because I'm gonna get copyrighted. I'm gonna say play. I said Eric. Some questions. Let's see. Any poor questions take away from him. You can always look online. I always look to see what coaches do. He says, I know. Yeah, I'm going to do next when coaches are for vacation. I'm open. So much. Okay, so here's this tech boy. I like it because Mike Gundy, really good coach at Oklahoma State, his predecessor. So he talks about that. Talks about himself and what he did at Incarnate Word, type of player, so which is good to learn about, get to know him as a coach. And Willie Fitz, who's been the coach for Houston, he talked about the Bell Brothers promotion. He talked about the Sean Bell, the assistant coach against quarterback coach and passing game coach, and Brian Bell, who's the wide receiver coach. They talked about the roster movement we have every year. Things that happen in the off season, when you get better. Type of culture, I think it's culture we have. One of the policies we have was Tulane. We had leave New Orleans and burn it for 30 nights. Their record that year, great record that year, but has zero problems. The creative culture you have. From him. So I was breaking down everything. Then we go to Scott Frost over at head coach over at UCF. And one of is the team where I think it's going to be a year process every year. I think when I talked about it, there's just where Coffee is now. You're going to try to keep as many pieces consistent as you can, recruit and keep them in your program as you can. Every year you'll go to a new team, and so you have to go through the process to some degree every year. So that's actually true for college football. Where the college football this is where the college football right now. And Scott Frost does a really good job. I'm describing where the college football is going, because we don't know where college football is going. We go to NAL and governance, and it's going to be completely different than it was 4 or 5 years ago. So he's done a good job. What is going to be consistent, because you're not going to be consistent. You're recruiting. Football is completely different. The way you recruit is different. It's really different now, college football. And that's a really good quote right up there. I think every team's weakness right now, you got a bunch of guys that are new to the team. They're going to be the case every year. Get familiar with each other, knowing each other, building something that's bigger than, and one greater kid, and having a big fight for that. That's hard to build, and hard to build back in the day when you had 4 years with kids. Even harder when you have some kids for 1 year, which I actually agree with. I think that's a really well done quote from there. Then Bill head coach David Randa, he came out. I'm going to highlight the quotes. Let's see here if he had anything. Which I think right here. What's this review about teams' identity we may not see at September? There's been high level of keeping standards of things that we say we are, things that we say we're going to do. That's coach involved for that, sure. But it's been player led. It's been in the last couple of years, which I completely agree. Of course, about Nels answers. Of course, I'm saying they crave winning. They need to win. They're very hungry to win. I think that's probably the team hungry. Term hungry. But I think that's every team. You go to, and of course, the Sanders over Colorado. Any quote from him? Even said we outside critics. We don't care about what people say. People are always going to have opinion. My kids and coaches or staff don't understand who they are. We have a problem. They're not allow you to identify who we are. They're going to not allow you to know who we are, just because we guys got snapped on up off a poll, and they probably not going to be consistent at the end of the season. We don't give it done, which I agree. He also goes because he was saying, okay, so who know who, what, when, where, and how they are. They know what they're going to do, how they're going to go work. Gives them the extra inside them. Thank you for the picture there. Thank you for a wonderful question, which actually I agree with that. Of course, he's prayers for Sanders battling cancer the last few years. Prayers for him and his family. And of course, Kelly Denham over Arizona State. And quotes from him. talk about transfer portal and all that, how it's going this back season. Look at wide receivers we have Biden, we have Fisher. How we can say boom was going, how we can expect season. Yeah, I expect them to be dynamic. They're good to be, force people's lanes and safety in run games, pass games, change the coverage to respect. It also says in the game that's turning the league field, with four game match, which fits almost a 2-man and 3 match. A game that's turning into almost match coverage. You have to guys that truly can win a perimeter and give yourself throws. If you're gonna do that, you can change the match creation. We're gonna look, which is I think I agree with that. A lot of the coaches have a good point. Now, Kalani Stuckey Steak over at BYU. Here's Steak. There's a quote from him. He just talked about his coaches, his brothers, a little bit of family thing. But the biggest one was, I think the goal for us to stay humble, stay hungry. Our coaches be on love and learn, which means those are the things that you have to be working on. You can't sit there the rest of anything that you accomplished. Competency is never been a part of the equation, but that for us trying to find ways to get better. It's not just get better in football, it's how we can improve in everything in our life. How we make one thing better every day. How can they show a little bit more discipline and have that transform into the field and help us be in a position to get victories. And I agree with that. Which is, I think, a really good point when it comes to coaching and when you talk about these, staff, and I think that's what really matters the most. Roger McGuire, TCU, Texas Tech. Anything important he says here? Goes over this peers, what he does after him personally as a player and as a coaching staff, a little bit of that. Talk about Sark. I talk a little bit paying taxes, which I can get, so we go that, but that will be, so that's day one. That was day one of coaches so far. We'll come to day two in the second, but let's recap. So far, we talked about a lot of coaches, what they had to say. I do agree. Some of the coaches I just mentioned were some of the coaches I think were notable and really important to know, especially the way college football is going. Because right now, I'm going to tell you something. College football is changing. It's not the same it was in 2021. Ever since COVID hit, I say that really changed the way we see college football as it is now. I mean, it is what it is. It's just that way we see things. We'll take a look at Brent Bannon of Arizona State. Of course, let's take a look. Talk about quarterback, Noah Fita, talk about his linebacker position, and a little bit about the team. And I like this question. One question was, in the opening statement, you spoke on sustainability. I want to know pillars you put on your team, within your team, and the team sustainability winning season coming forward. He said, that's a cute question. I'm not going to serve it all day. I'm going to try to give you what I got, okay? So we're believers in controlling what we can control, right? We can control is our process. We can go control the outcomes. We can control our process, so that's what starts us every day, every single day with our players. In terms of how we build over time, our model is going to be place is going to be much more developmental, more high school player than focus on retention as it goes to process development. Do you want to bat 1,000? No. No, we will. As long as we focus on process, really dive into the daily, test the red line, and standard process, we have chance to build outcome that we want, the kind of how we build. Which I agree. Thank you to the ASAP Sports for giving the fast scripts for all these coaches. So I think I'll put that out right there. Move on to the Arizona to Cincinnati. Scott Satterfield. Introduction. Any questions he mentioned? Let's see. Talk about Coach Woody and have been with him 5 years. How relationship with that. Conversation how the program's going. A little bit of his life. Coach Wood. Talk about rivalry between the Cincinnati and Miami. A big game and how things will go. They have Jimmy Rogers of Iowa State. Talk about jealous of players he has had. Okay, flip of family. So not much to a little bit there, but I'm just going as quickly as I can. Sonny Dykes at TCU, really good coach. I love him, Sonny Dykes. He's a really good coach. One of the best coaches out there, actually. Talk about quarterback building culture of that. Was Jaden. I just want to talk about Gordon Ramsay, and then talk about Diallo. Talk about Harvard and translate to BYU. Portal. And this is what I'm going to say, but that's what Seth Portal. The interesting is the way that Seth Portal works is, you have a personnel department that's going to go through and look at players all the time and evaluate the guys have seen. Okay, well, who do you going to be a good fit for a program? Who going to be a good fit? I don't know. Honestly, we're going to take a shot for quarterback, honestly. Or we had a quarterback that year that's been with us a number of years and it's had a year of eligibility. We assumed he would be with us and ended up not being the case. So that's really, I think, a big takeaway from him. So I actually like that. The San Francisco quarterback thing happened so fast, which unfortunately it's happening in a lot of cases during the season. I mean, by the people talking to your quarterback and talking to your players and do all this stuff, and it kind of happens in today's college football, which I actually agree with him on that point. He's a really good coach, does a really good job in these. Of course, Colin Klein, the new head coach at Kansas State. I want to talk about himself and his upcoming head coach, what he expects. One question was, when you took over as head coach, what's the first thing you want to preserve for the team? What's the first thing you want to change? I think it's just something it's crazy in college football right now because you do 10,000 things, which I agree. When you're in the middle of getting ready for playoff game, where you're trying to put your staff together, put together staff, trying to hold together for a while. So I think it was very fortunate to have been here for 2 years, not too long ago, and have a bit of land, get a bit of understanding of personnel on the roster, personnel staff-wise in the building, give me a head start. The biggest thing was building a relationship with the players as fast as I could and get a bridge gap with them and understand where they were at, what they're thinking, what they're doing, and feel who and how they were going to retain and hold that together, which I completely agree, especially with the new coach coming in. It's hard to retain there. Natalie reported Kansas has been the head coach Kansas for a long time. They talk about Nelson Willis, who bought from Syracuse, talk about his matchup against Arizona in London, and then talk about Kenny Dillingham. Look at the new kickoff, all the things. Over there, and then of course Morgan Scaly of Utah. Let's see what he has to say. Talk about rivalry game against BYU, rivalry game. Pleasant offense. I like this part. It's about that's the motto of the program being restless, smart, nasty, ball hawks, which is the motto for Utah's program, Utes. He says, how do you plan to put a stamp on this program to keep toughness alive? So, well, that's a culture. A culture is what you believe. It's how you believe based on the belief. It's how you behave based on that belief and the experience to deliver that behavior. That's what we practice today. It's not just word on the wall. It's not some creative acronym. It's a way of life, the way we practice every day. When you see behavior, you actually from your players and staff promote it. Promote the heck of it. Yeah, you promote it. Then you don't permit anything on the counter to the culture. That your culture don't care if you're first year freshman walk on to fit your senior. There's gonna be a draft pick. Everyone has to be held the same standard. Our guys have to be bought into the culture and excited for it. Sherman football field, which I completely agree with him. That's actually important. Because culture is a lot of things. We talk about college football. Talk about the second. We have to Rich Rodriguez in a minute. Rodriguez for Virginia, come in, head coach, take over the previous coach. Just type of the program, all this stuff. Big 12 and John Cook and all those things. But no, culture is a big thing, and I like that Scully, the head coach over at Utah, mentioned this, and which I think it's really important. when it comes to college football. This culture is a really big thing because new coaches come in, right? You have Kyle Whittingham now at Michigan, come from Utah. Morgan Skelly, coming head coach at Utah. You have Klein at Kansas State. You have, Mike Campbell at Penn State. James Franklin now at Virginia Tech. So you really have new coaches in new places, players have to lose new offensive coordinators, new native college football and NIL, and the way college football is nowadays, culture is really important. And I like the answer. You have to. It's what you believe in. Behave what you believe in culture. Every college, every program is completely different, and I know that, and I respect that. But I 100% respect his decision, what he said, too. I know it's a little long video, but I'm explaining to you, I think that's what matters the most. Culture is really important. So comment down below your thoughts on the media days and what you think culture, what was mean by this. I'm here from you guys. Like and subscribe, share, hit the notification button. I am Sports Like 1 out. See you next video. Peace.